So today I wanted to talk about white genocide and like how this, how like it's kind of like invisible in a sense, and there's reasons why, like it's not that obvious, because it's kind of like silent, or it's kind of hidden in a way. And it's like, it appears like maybe it's totally free will, like women go and get abortions, for instance, but, they're not necessarily, they don't necessarily understand like the broader implications of what they're doing, which is like what happened in my case. I had a few abortions, unfortunately, in my life, in my early, in my 20s, and a lot of it is because, I didn't, the whole decoupling of sex and marriage and the whole commitment thing, I grew up with a single mother and, plenty of neglect and not, I didn't have a dad. There was just real, like, significantly bad stuff happened, So anyway, like, I became promiscuous as as soon as I hit, like, 16, and from there, like, after a while, like, even into my early 20s, like, I noticed that, like, I wasn't behaving correctly, like, I noticed that what I was doing was wrong, that there was something wrong with, with the way I was behaving, and yet I couldn't seem to, like, get it under control, because I guess I was acting out, I don't know, I was looking for approval and attention and love, and like, I didn't understand how relationships are supposed to work, and, oftentimes the physical, would come too quickly. So, like, before I even knew the guys that I was with real well, the sexual stuff went down way too soon, and then, like, I only realized later that the person is not a good partner, for the long term or whatever. So anyway, like, and I did try to prevent, the pregnancy. Like, I tried birth control pills and I got real sick. And, like, on every birth control I tried, I felt absolutely awful. So I tried other methods, to try to prevent pregnancy, and I guess I had less control over it than I thought, So I didn't, the whole situation, the abortions would have never even had to happen if other things in my life probably had went correctly, or a lot earlier than that, but anyway, so back to the thing about, how the white genocide is, how this ties in, is, we've drifted away from, like, morality, and, you got the welfare state, you got, men's, or, like, the divorce and stuff, and how, like, the courts favor women over men, so that busts up the family, and, like, there's all kinds of ways now that, and then, like, the birth control, now that we have birth control and it's supposed to be, effective and you're supposed to use it, and but it's not necessarily like it's not without horrible side effects in some cases. And like condoms, yeah, they work, if you use them correctly, they work, but they can slip off. A lot of young people are careless, where you're impulsive and careless, and next thing you know, and I don't even think they had Plan B at the time that I was getting pregnant, so I couldn't go that. I couldn't even prevent the pregnancy before it happened, so anyway, God, I got off the topic again, but back to how the genocide stuff is kind of happening, but the multiple ways that the white culture is kind of getting like our values and stuff, and like everything, like we're brainwashed into thinking that like we can just like mess around with sex, and it's like, what I mean? Like, I just remember, like, when I was young, when I was a lot, younger, I just didn't, I thought that I could be like a man in a sense, or I thought that I understood that men and women had differences, and that we were different. It wasn't like I was completely retarded, but it was like, I think because of birth control, it really, it's not like we biologically changed, but like suddenly there was like this, now the responsibility for you not to get pregnant fell even more on the woman, or I mean you really, now you're like, oh shit, like if you get pregnant outside of a commitment or something, now your options are to go to the welfare state, or or I don't know, like, or abortion or adoption, and I'm kind of losing my train of thought here, but anyway, so I was back to what the topic of this was. So I think what's happening, to eliminate a lot of whites is legalized abortion, because women fall into this trap like I did, where we don't understand like how serious it is that you commit to somebody when you're younger, and and you can't just, you don't want to have kids without the father. At least I didn't, I was like, oh, hell no. Like, I grew up without a dad, and I felt like I didn't understand that whole side of the equation, like I didn't understand men like I should have, or how I normally would have, had I had an intact family situation. So with, because, a lot of women we're also in the labor force now, and like I remember growing up, like I watched my mom always work ever since I was little, like she was working hard, all the time. And so that put it inside me that like men weren't going to be able to take care of me, and that I was going to have to always be working, like I thought that I absolutely had to be in the labor force too, and and so I was like, and watching my mom trying to balance that, the whole working and kids by herself thing, I was like, oh hell no, like I remember how poor and miserable and, it was painful. Like I just remember it being a really awful experience, growing up. And then when I got out there, just having difficulties in relationships, not having realistic expectations, and I don't know. But anyway, the other thing, of course, I think wars, take out a lot of the whites too, like, because a lot of men coming back from war, become suicidal. So that, and then like opiates and meth, and I mean, I don't know, like probably all, like, I'm sure addiction is like, from what I've been kind of like reading and stuff, that there's a lot of people dying from opioid addiction, like a lot of, so I mean, it's like on all fronts, but I think this is what's kind of really especially sad about the whole abortion thing, is because had I understood that there's like this agenda to kind of wipe out whites, and I know it's because a big reason is because of the IQ factor. Like, there's like white, like some of the more intelligent races of people, like whites and Asians, like if you're a thinker, they don't want you to, the government doesn't want you to think, they want followers, they want to have power, they want to maintain that power, so they want to get rid of whites, so I see how, in a way, like, the legalized abortion, even though I didn't understand, like, what I was really doing, like I didn't really fully, like now I look at it as like, Jesus, like I totally killed off my own race, like, and I feel terrible about it, like because I didn't view it from how I see what's going on now, where they're trying to like bring in all these like lower IQ, less civilized groups to like, destroy like civilization, because you sort of need like at least 90 IQ to be able to have a civilization. So anyway, I guess I'm gonna call it good on this video, but alright, thank you for listening.